Hi everybody, Gergely here, and today I want to showcase some of the new features that we released over the previous weeks through a helmet design process. So let's do that. I'm just going to name this file helmet design. I'll start in the studio. Let's set up a square canvas here. And the first thing which I do is I want to make a helmet. So I'm going to upload this template model, this chest human template model from here. And maybe I place it into a nice side view. I can also tweak the focal length. It will not matter that much, but I'll set up a side angle like this that can provide us a nice proportional guidance for the helmet. After setting this up, we can write on lower on opacity and create a new layer to do the first sketch. So now I want to introduce the first new feature, which is real-time rendering. Let me put in a prompt here. I want to create a modern silver. This is going to be a full face bike helmet design, and this will be a side view. And after describing it, I can go to the real-time window. And if I came to the real-time window, now I can see I have a generation preview down here, and I can also tweak the settings, such as like drawing influence and palette influence, to actually make the real-time rendering change according to how I want. And so this allows me to start sketching here. So I can just lay down the lines like this, and I can see the real-time preview rendering my sketch. I'm going to disable the human proportional reference at some point, but I will just use it to now make the renderings on it. And you can see each line I add in, it will try to make it into the cohesive aesthetic of the rendering. So I can guide it very naturally this way. And as you can see, I start lowering down on the drawing influence. We can see that now it will have its own idea about the helmet. And then as I start forcing it onto my sketch, it will be more and more relevant to my sketch, to my design essentially. So basically with the palette influence slider, I can set how much sense of volume, shape, fidelity I want in the rendering, how strongly I want to apply this palette with this prompt. I can get something which is like just a very low rendering on top of it, and I can get something which is like fully rendered in this case. So we can keep that in mind, and I'll just build up the sketch like this. Essentially, what I can also do with the real-time preview is that I can just simply unlock it and place it anywhere on my canvas. I can also scale it up or down to make it bigger. We can notice that this is just a low quality preview that we can use, so we can treat it as a sketch basically. What I can also do here is to give us a bit more space, is I can go under this menu and set up the layout to be stacked, because this way I can just have the real-time preview taking up the left side, while the layers and the create panel can be on the right side and the canvas in the middle. And I can keep on sketching and keep on generating on top of that. Now, a cool tip as well is that if I click on this little regenerate button, it will always give us a new interpretation. So if you are stuck and if Vizcom will not provide us like a relevant result, we can always click on this regenerate button to generate this alternative interpretation. At this point, we can also hide the human if you don't want to have it, to have like a cleaner helmet image overall. So it's a really great exercise for getting used to how Vizcom is actually going to construct the renderings on top of our sketches. Maybe here I want to regenerate, and now we get this alternative interpretation. The image is too dark, so I go a bit lower on palette influence, and we can get higher on drawing influence. But yeah, I'll just keep on experimenting here a little bit. And another super cool thing is the history slider. So if I grab the history slider, I can just go back to the first results. So I started off with something like that, and we build up the sketch, and we can basically just show the process with the help of this little animation here. And that's super cool to see. And it means that we can always add back in these renderings too. So maybe I liked some of this. I can just go back, revisit these renderings, and add them back. Okay, this one is going to be good. I'll just add it, and we can keep on generating on top of it more and more. And as you can see, this is a low quality preview, so we'll get a lot of pixels on the canvas. What we can do with that is I can just click on enhance, and then it will take this image and just enhance the quality of it, tighten it up a little bit, but keeping the design as how it is. And now we can see we got something which has more fidelity to it. You can actually find this enhance function at any time under the create panel here at this newly introduced icon where we have enhance and remove background as well. After enhancing, what we can do with it is we can just sketch and maybe remove some elements with the help of the magic eraser tool. So I'll just quickly maybe clean this up a bit. I can hold down Option or Alt to eliminate a few distracting elements from this layer. But essentially now we have like a solid motorcycle helmet base, let's say, that we can either refine or render with. So now I can go out to the workbench view infinite canvas, and I can just connect a prompt block to this. I can describe it, and I can either refine or render this helmet. Let's actually try going back here with this prompt. And I will just go to refine with the Vizcom general style and see if we can get a bit more definition here. Okay, nice, we're getting somewhere. So I'm gonna use this one to actually move forward with. So I'll add this, and now I go back to the infinite canvas where I've previously described the helmet. And with that, I want to introduce some of the new palettes that we have. You may already found them, but we have a few new palettes that you can use for different use cases. With that, I'm going to just set up a batch generation here. And let's see, the first one, we can actually use this drawing influence range. This can be nice. Perhaps I want to make it a little bit higher. So let's go with 85, 70, and 60. This way we can explore, but still keep it true to the original idea. So let's generate a few one with the Vizcom general, newly added product realistic, and these are essentials, so generally applicable to like any design scenario, let's say. And then we also have cybercell, but I'll use the design sketch in this case. And the last thing I use is car shading, which can be also useful for cleaner surfaces. But I'll showcase some of these new models and then feel free to explore the rest as well. Until we wait for the renderings to appear, we also added a new feature. A different way of importing a sketch is if you have a lot of like sketches laying down on your table, you can just very easily take advantage of them. Now we added this phone scanning feature. So if you click on the plus icon, now you have an upload from phone feature. And with that, you can just use your phone camera to scan in this QR code. That will take you to Vizcom where you have an upload button. So I will just take a photo of one of my sketches here. After clicking use that photo, Vizcom will place it into the actual workbench. And now I can double click on this image and we can see that this might not be ideal. We have a lot of noise here, but a very cool little trick that we can do is if we use the background remove feature on it, it will clean up the rendering and it will almost adjust the levels as well. It's pretty cool. So now we have a majorly cleaned up rendering that we can work with. I can click on this approve button, or I can also retry. After that, I can just hide the previous render and maybe I can clean this sketch up from here. And now we got our helmet that we can start basically refining a little bit. So let's generate a few interpretations out of these two. So we can now check out the renderings. I generated a few one with the newly introduced car shading palette that can give us very clean surfaces. The other one was the standard Vizcom general. And I also wanted to show the product realistic, which focuses on a more realistic interpretation compared to the Vizcom general. And maybe we can use it as like a final step of making something very crisp and realistic. I can just showcase it with this rough like handmade sketch. And we can see that the car shading did a really good job of like capturing the color blocks and like making the surfaces super nice and overall an intelligent aesthetic that it can apply. So maybe I can get this one and just make a 3D model out of it that looks the best to me. So I can just simply double click here and I wanted to simplify on the surfacing a bit more. So I just sketched in here with black. If you just want to also increase the quality of the actual renderings, I can always go into one of the renderings and I can click on enhance, and that will just make the visual, put the visual on the next level in terms of introducing fidelity, keeping the design as how it is, but just bringing out more and more details. So now this will be the first enhanced version, and we can maybe check out here the details. I can hide and show the enhanced version, and we can see we got a bit more material quality here and there, a bit more grain on this like metal looking material. Or I can come down here to check this out too. And we can keep doing this. I can keep clicking on enhance to bring out more and more details. And after this process, I can just simply create a 3D model. So I'll do that by clicking on the 3D, and I want to make a detailed smooth out of this one. The 3D detailed smooth is really good at like capturing the hard surfaced objects, and it will create an overall symmetrical object. But the surfacing will be very mature as opposed to the detail sharp, which focuses on sharp surfaces, and it will result in a bit more of a complex surfacing. Awesome. Now the detailed smooth 3D model is ready, and we can expose the textures, or we can decide to just showcase the actual shape. And we can see the surfaces are really clean here. The only thing which it couldn't capture exactly is the shape of this vent that we can fix later on, but it's quite a solid geometry, and it's proportionally really accurate to the actual sketch rendering that we started with. And basically we just got like 3-dimensionally on top of it. I really like the rear section here. It's very rugged. We can implement the little lamp there. And yeah, overall it did a really good job of like capturing this overall idea. Now if you have a 3D model, I can get back to the real-time window. Let's pop it out, and let's put it here in a nice and big format. And now what I want to visualize is actually a modern motorcycle, or like a modern bike helmet. But now maybe I want to see it like as a human wearing it. So I can just say biker is wearing a futuristic motorcycle helmet. And let's make it into a bike helmet. And now we can play with the drawing influence to check out what it will want to create at 0% influence. So something like this. And now we can force it onto our sketch here. And now we get a front view here. It can also give us alternative ideas. It looks really rugged, but I'll get back. Yeah, we can add this as well. And maybe I have an image like this. I can also enhance it by clicking on the enhance icon. Okay, but now we got the enhanced image. And what I can actually do here is that I can get back to the 3D model, and I can bring it on top. And this way I can expose the guy below it basically. So this was the position that we had, and it constructed something like this. So we can essentially now click on render here. I actually take this layer and I remove the background from it, because I want to clean up the overarching visual if I put the helmet on top. So let's put the helmet on top. Now let's see this layer and what details will it add. And I just go in with the eraser tool and I erase things out that we don't need. We need only something like this. Now I can also go back to render or refine to make a visual which has a bit more fidelity to it. So let's pop down to like 65% and refine. And there we go, basically. We just refined the rendering a bit more, and now we get a more compelling visual out of this. And I'll just click on enhance to have a visual which has a bit more details to it. I can also check out the enhancements. It indeed added a few details on the garment. We also have a bit more material quality, so the entire visual feels a bit more real that we can keep enhancing. Awesome. The last thing which I would show is the section tool, which can just offer us more organization in the workbench. So I want to group together these images as like the initial exploration or the first idea. So here I can just select the images, click on the section icon. I can also set a color to it. Maybe this can be blue, and this will be idea 1. I can do the same with this one, making a quick section here, and this will be idea 2. And here we also had the 3D process and the in-person showcase. And if I click on this image, there is a lot of layers inside that I want to expose. So I just go out to the infinite canvas view, click on the 3-dot menu, and I can click on this copy all layers to workbench. So I can also now group these together, saying that this is the 3D and try on process. And this way the workbench is going to get a bit more organized. One last thing which I wanted to add here is that we got a new type of reference, which is like background or environment reference. And currently you can find it under the references and you can switch to background. And I just quickly uploaded an image here. You can just simply click on generate. You don't have to worry about the palette and you don't have to worry about the drawing influence either. You can just use the prompt that was already in here. All it's going to do is it's just going to take this reference image that I've uploaded here and it will get the inspiration from it to actually replace our scene, but keeping the design, the character and the helmet as intact as possible. And here we go. We got these like super dramatic scenes with the colorful smoke in it, keeping the design as intact as possible. I can also just show it here. It just adds the background, adds the reflections, and blends everything into this cohesive scene. So it's super spectacular. I'm going to also show some of the previous results as well, just like this one, where we have the focus on the background. And we have this one where we have the focus on the product itself. Absolutely electric what it can do. So I really recommend trying the background reference because it can be the perfect next step after creating the product concept and just placing it into an alternative environment. That's the last thing which I wanted to add here. See you in the next one.